She was a devoted mother, a hardworking professional, and on the brink of a new chapter in life until she vanished without a trace. For 25 years, her disappearance remained an unsolved mystery, haunting a small Texas town. But when a chilling confession finally surfaced, the truth buried beneath a killer's bedroom sent shockwaves through the community. What really happened to Kim Langwell? Stay with us as we unravel a case that proves the darkest secrets can hide in plain sight. Kim Langwell was the kind of person everyone admired. A single mother raising a teenage daughter, she balanced a demanding job at an oil refinery in Beaumont, Texas, while building a better future for her small family. But on the evening of July 9, 1999, her promising life took a dark and tragic turn. Kim vanished without a trace. Her car was found hours later in a pharmacy parking lot, her cell phone left inside. There was no sign of a struggle, no witnesses, and no immediate answers. For 25 years, her family was haunted by unanswered questions, until a shocking confession reopened the case and led authorities to a gruesome discovery beneath a concrete floor. At just 34 years old, Kim Langwell was finally rebuilding her life after years of hardship. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, she had her daughter Tiffany at the age of 18. Her first husband left shortly after Tiffany's birth, forcing Kim to juggle multiple jobs just to make ends meet. But she never gave up. By 1999, Kim had moved to Beaumont, where she found stable employment at an oil refinery. She was respected for her work ethic and kindness. She'd also met Ken, her fiancé, who she described as the light at the end of a very long tunnel. The couple planned to marry later that year. Her daughter Tiffany, 15 at the time, described Kim as her best friend. They did everything together, from watching movies on Friday nights to dreaming about Tiffany's future career as a lawyer. She always told me, no matter what happens, keep fighting for the life you deserve. That was her motto, Tiffany recalled years later. On the afternoon of July 9th, Kim finished her shift at the refinery at 5:15 p.m. Before heading home, she called Tiffany to say she might run a few errands and could be late for dinner. It was a typical conversation, nothing out of the ordinary. By 6:30 p.m., her fiancé Ken arrived at her house for their planned dinner, only to find the lights off and no sign of Kim. When she didn't answer her phone, Ken became concerned. Hours passed, and still no word. Around 10 p.m., Ken decided to retrace her usual route from work to home. That's when he found her car, a white 1994 Honda Civic, parked outside a Walgreens pharmacy. The car was locked, and her cell phone sat on the passenger seat. The eerie discovery sent chills down Ken's spine. Where was Kim? His heart sank. Fearing the worst, he immediately called the Beaumont Police Department to report her missing. Ken explained the situation to the officer on duty, detailing how Kim never arrived home after work and how her car was suspiciously parked with no signs of her around. He also shared his concern that this was entirely out of character for her, emphasizing how close they were and how she would never just disappear. Within 30 minutes, 2 patrol officers arrived at the Walgreens parking lot to assess the scene. Ken led them to Kim's white 1994 Honda Civic, pointing out that the car was locked and her phone, which she always carried, was left in plain view on the passenger seat. The officers examined the area, noting there were no immediate signs of a struggle. The police treated the area as a potential crime scene. They began by cordoning off the parking spot to preserve any possible evidence. a forensic team was dispatched to sweep the car for fingerprints, fibers, or any other clues that might indicate foul play. Officers spoke with employees at the Walgreens, hoping to find someone who might have seen Kim arrive or leave the area. Unfortunately, the staff reported nothing unusual. No commotion, no suspicious activity, and no sign of Kim entering the store. Surveillance footage from the pharmacy's security cameras was quickly requested. However, when the footage was reviewed, it revealed nothing conclusive. The angle of the cameras didn't cover the parking lot directly, and no usable footage of Kim's car arriving or her exiting the vehicle was found. The police also searched the immediate vicinity of the parking lot, including nearby alleys and trash bins. But there were no signs of Kim or any personal belongings aside from her cell phone. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Beaumont police escalated the case within hours. A missing person alert was issued, and Kim's photograph, along with details about her car and clothing on the day she disappeared, were distributed to local media outlets. The first major suspect was Terry Collins, Kim's ex-boyfriend. Terry, 38, had been in an on and off relationship with Kim for 7 years before she finally ended things in early 1999. Described by friends as possessive and volatile, Terry had a history of troubling behavior. Kim's friends told police that Terry often showed up unannounced at her workplace, bombarded her with phone calls, and once threatened to harm her if she ever left him. In one chilling incident, he choked her during an argument, a moment Kim later recounted to a friend, saying, "If anything ever happens to me, look at Terry first." When questioned by police, Terry admitted Kim had stopped by his house the night she disappeared to help him install shelves. He claimed she left after about 20 minutes. But witnesses contradicted his story, saying they saw her car parked outside his house for nearly 2 hours. While Terry remained the prime suspect, another man came under scrutiny. Frank Bennett. Kim's supervisor at the oil refinery, Frank, 45, was known for his obsession with Kim, which bordered on harassment. Over the course of 2 years, Frank had sent Kim over 100 love letters, some of which were later discovered in her locker at work. In one letter, he wrote, "You are my everything, Kim. I would do anything to make you mine." Kim never responded to his advances, but feared reporting him, worried she might lose her job. Frank's behavior grew more erratic in the weeks leading up to Kim's disappearance. Co-workers reported seeing him follow her to her car after work, and one even overheard him saying, "If I can't have her, no one will." Despite this disturbing behavior, Frank had an alibi for the night of Kim's disappearance. He was attending a company dinner with over 20 witnesses. As the years passed, Kim's case went cold. Terry remained in Beaumont, living an unremarkable life and working as a tow truck driver. He occasionally taunted Kim's family with cryptic comments. Once, during a conversation with a mutual friend, he said, "They'll never find her. She's long gone." Kim's daughter Tiffany, now grown, never stopped searching for answers. She became a vocal advocate for reopening cold cases and even hired private investigators to look into her mother's disappearance. But every lead seemed to hit a dead end. The breakthrough. In 2024, a true crime documentary team revisited Kim Langwell's case, airing an episode titled "Vanished in Beaumont." The episode reignited public interest, sparking debates and theories about her disappearance. It also triggered a wave of new tips, including one that would change everything. A man named Robert Hayes came forward, claiming he had crucial information about the case. Robert was a former drinking buddy of Terry Collins, Kim's ex-boyfriend and a longtime person of interest. In a recorded statement, Robert recounted a chilling night nearly 25 years earlier. He and Terry had been drinking heavily at Terry's house when the conversation turned dark. "Terry started talking about Kim," Robert said. He was bitter, angry that she was moving on with someone else. Then, out of nowhere, he said, "She's not moving on. She's not going anywhere." I thought he was just drunk and rambling, but then he looked at me dead serious and said, "She's buried right under my feet. Nobody will ever find her." At the time, Robert didn't believe Terry. He dismissed it as drunken bravado and tried to forget the unsettling conversation. But when he saw the documentary and realized the case was still unresolved, he knew he couldn't keep silent any longer. Armed with Robert's testimony, police reopened the investigation with a renewed focus on Terry. The details Robert provided matched elements of the original case, lending credibility to his story. With this new lead, investigators obtained a search warrant for Terry's property, a place they had never fully examined back in 1999. In March 2024, a team of investigators arrived at Terry's property with ground-penetrating radar. The search was conducted under heavy media scrutiny, with reporters and curious neighbors lining the street. The radar quickly detected an anomaly beneath the concrete floor of Terry's bedroom. As investigators began digging, the tension was palpable. After hours of careful excavation, they uncovered human remains wrapped in a decaying blanket. Forensic testing confirmed the remains belonged to Kim Langwell. She had been buried just feet from where Terry had lived and slept for the past 25 years. Terry was arrested and charged with murder. During his interrogation, the once cocky and defiant man crumbled under the weight of the evidence. What started as calculated denials unraveled into a chilling confession when detectives presented him with the damning discovery of Kim's remains beneath his bedroom floor. As the interrogation room grew quieter, Terry finally leaned forward, his hands trembling. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that," he muttered. According to Terry, Kim had visited his house the night of her disappearance to talk things over after he begged her for one last chance. The conversation, however, quickly escalated into a heated argument. Terry claimed that Kim told him she was moving forward with her life, without him. She spoke of her plans to marry her fiancé Ken and start fresh. Her words, Terry said, felt like a knife in the gut. His anger boiled over, and in a blind, uncontrollable rage, he lunged at her, wrapping his hands around her neck. "I didn't mean to do it," Terry sobbed during the confession, though his tone betrayed a chilling lack of remorse. "She wouldn't stop telling me it was over. I just wanted her to stay quiet." When the reality of what he had done sank in, Terry panicked. He spent hours cleaning the scene, carefully wrapping Kim's lifeless body in a blanket before dragging her to the bedroom. There, he poured concrete over the shallow grave he dug beneath the floor, a cold, calculated move to ensure she was never found. For years, Terry lived his life as if nothing had happened, even hosting friends and neighbors in the very room that concealed his dark secret. "Every night, I knew she was there," Terry admitted, his voice eerily calm. "But I told myself no one would ever look under that concrete. It was my secret, and I was fine with taking it to the grave." Terry's confession painted a horrifying picture of a man consumed by jealousy and rage, willing to do whatever it took to maintain control, even if it meant silencing the woman he claimed to love forever. His chilling lack of empathy and the calculated steps he took to cover up the crime left investigators and the public alike shaken. The case now moves to trial, where prosecutors are determined to ensure Terry pays for his decades of deception and the unimaginable pain he inflicted on Kim's family. For Tiffany, Kim's daughter, The confession brings a mix of relief and anger. "He lived his life while my mom was buried under his feet," she said. "Now it's time for him to face the life he deserves, behind bars." Terry Collins, now 67, awaits trial. For Kim's family, the discovery brought both relief and heartbreak. "We finally know where she is," Tiffany said, "but it took 25 years to get here, and that's something I'll never forgive." After weeks of emotional testimony, damning evidence, and chilling details from Terry Collins's confession, the courtroom finally awaited the jury's decision. On a crisp autumn afternoon in October 2024, the 12 jurors returned to the courthouse after deliberating for just 4 hours. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the judge called the court to order. Kim Langwell's family sat in the front row, holding hands, their faces a mixture of hope and trepidation. Terry sat emotionless at the defense table, his face pale, his once defiant demeanor replaced by quiet resignation. The jury foreperson stood and began reading the verdict. In the matter of Terry Collins, charged with the first-degree murder of Kimberly Langwell, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. A collective gasp filled the courtroom as Kim's daughter, Tiffany, broke into quiet sobs, clutching her fiancé's hand tightly. Her fight for justice had finally paid off. The judge wasted no time in sentencing. Considering the premeditated nature of the crime, the calculated cover-up, and Terry's lack of remorse, he delivered the maximum penalty allowed under Texas law. "Terry Collins," the judge declared, his voice firm, "you are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The pain and suffering you caused this family, along with your blatant disregard for human life, leave this court no room for leniency." As Terry was escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs, Kim's family embraced, tears streaming down their faces. After 25 long years of anguish, they finally had justice. Outside the courthouse, Tiffany addressed the media with a powerful statement. "This verdict doesn't bring my mom back, but it brings us peace knowing that the man who took her from us will never hurt anyone again. My mom deserved better, and now, at last, she can rest in peace." The case also reignited questions about the initial investigation. Why wasn't Terry's property searched earlier? As Terry faces the consequences of his actions, Kim's legacy lives on. Her story is a reminder of the resilience of those who fight for justice and the importance of never giving up hope, even in the face of unimaginable loss. For 25 years, the truth lay hidden beneath a cold concrete floor, silent but unrelenting. Kim Langwell's tragic fate reminds us of the darkness that can dwell within those closest to us. As justice finally approaches, her story echoes a powerful message. No matter how deeply buried, the truth will always rise. If this haunting tale left you questioning the bonds of trust, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more stories that peel back the layers of humanity's darkest secrets. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, evil often lurks where you least expect it.